Hi there, and welcome back to my channel, or Simple Abundance here, as we follow through Sarah Ban Beathnach's book, Simple Abundance, all through 2020 and the last remaining days that we have of it. If you're just finding my channel now, I hope you go back and watch some of the things that we've been up to this year. We're talking about Sarah's principles, and we do discuss her daily entries. I also have a kitty who may jump up and mess up the camera in 1 second. That's my kitty Annabelle. She heard me doing a video, so she has to come up and be a part of it. I want to discuss a couple of entries today centered around the holidays, because we are in the holiday season. In Sarah's entry called Joy to the Girl instead of Joy to the World, she talks to us about trying to recapture the things that we remember from Christmas that bring us joy, and tells us, just like she told us in the December Joyful Simplicities, that we can celebrate Christmas however we want to. You know, it doesn't mean that it has to be the way it was when we were growing up or the way it used to be earlier in our lives. We can celebrate it however we want. We can make it understated, we can go big with it, and it's a matter of, here she is, it's a matter of really recognizing what you want to make sure that you always do. Like in one of the entries, I think it was that December Joyful Simplicity one, I talked about how I like to go around and look at Christmas lights. And so that's a part of my tradition that I've carried on since youth, and so that's something I want to continue. But maybe earlier in your life you had to host everybody at your house and it was super stressful. Sarah wants to remind you that it's your house and you can do it however you want, and being authentic means that you find the things that really speak from you personally and you're true to those things. This is her wisdom for us. Wouldn't a real Christmas miracle be if we slowed down long enough to remember the reason for the season, so that our holiday celebrations became authentic and meaningful? So be of good cheer. Be not frazzled, frustrated, or frantic, for I bring you tidings of comfort and joy. If you do Christmas at your house, you can choose to do it your way. That's what I just said. Whatever that way might be. You can consciously decide to be happy, loving, fulfilled, generous, peaceful, contented, spiritual, joyous, calm, festive, and emotionally connected to the important people in your life for the holidays this year. Or you can unconsciously choose to be a wreck. Today, realize that you can't do everything. Not all at once. Not in the next 10 minutes. Not at all, period. Now recognize that one of the reasons Christmas past probably didn't live up to your expectations is that you've tried to do too much, too perfectly. Choose to let only what you love best about the holidays remain. Cross out 2 more musts, like she encourages us to make a list. Now there's time for gazing out the window at gently falling snow, delighting in the sounds of bells and joyful music, savoring the sweet aromas of hot cider, roast turkey, and gingerbread, sipping hot chocolate and homemade eggnog, reading a holiday story each night at dusk, basking in a fire crackling in the hearth, and recreating cherished customs that care for your soul as well as the souls of those you love. So have you ever sat down to really write down the things that you like and want to continue doing for your holiday season versus the things that maybe you're doing out of obligation, or you're stressing yourself out because you're supposed to do them or something? Like maybe it's the Christmas cards. Maybe you know, every year it's this thing where you're like, I have to, Betty sent me a card and I have to send her one back. Maybe that's how you feel, but maybe you also are just like, I can't do it all. I can't do it all. So something has to give. I suppose if your friends are offended that you didn't reciprocate a card, then it's probably not like a super close friendship. I don't know. Or maybe it is. But maybe you are just doing that out of obligation and you don't really get any joy out of it. I love sending cards, so that isn't something that I would give up. And I love receiving cards too. I have a kitty licking me, sorry. So maybe make a list and see what you want to continue doing. Maybe it's places you want to go to or things you want to experience. The things that really remind you of the heart of Christmas. And she doesn't, she says the meaning of Christmas. And, that might have a religious significance to you. Or it might just mean a time of giving or a time of solemnness or a time of magic. With the star and the nativity story is a really neat story. So I hope you'll think about, I know that some of you have been sharing in the comments already on recent posts, but I hope you will really think about how you can somehow recapture some of the joy of joy to the girl, of the joy that you will have, and only you, because it's your authentic self. One of you told me about how you like to go Christmas caroling with your church when you were growing up and made cookies for the parishioners and stuff. And I know we can't really do that now, but maybe in the future it's a matter of like gathering a couple of girlfriends and doing that. I mean, whatever could bring you some joy. So think about that. And then speaking of gifts like cookies, I really like this entry called Gifts of the Magi, and that is actually today's entry, December 16th. And the gifts of the Magi, those are the three kings, right? Have you guys ever heard of I think it was a book first and then it was a play, or either way. There is a stage production called The Gift of the Magi, and it's about a husband that wants to buy his wife these beautiful brushes and everything for her gorgeous long hair. And then the wife wants to buy her husband, I think it was like a chain for his pocket watch, or it might have been the watch itself, I'm not remembering exactly, but they go out and the wife cuts all of her, actually it was a chain for the watch, so she cuts all of her hair off to buy the chain for the watch. And then he goes to the store and he doesn't have the money, so he gives the clerk his watch as payment for all the augmentations for her hair and the lovely brushes and everything. And then there they are on Christmas and they're exchanging these gifts, and it's like, look at what they gave up to try to give to each other, like such a meaningful gift. And it's a really neat story. That's not what Sarah's entry is about, but that's the first thing I thought of when I thought of the Gift of the Magi. So when you think of the Gift of the Magi, do you think about frankincense, myrrh, forgotten what the third thing was, but the gifts that the kings brought? So here's what Sarah says. Today, let's ruminate on the real role of gifts in the Christmas story. Those gifts were wrapped in miracles, which is probably why we can't find them online or in gigantic box stores. The first gift was spirit, unconditional love. The next gift came from a Jewish teenager named Miriam, who was known to her family and friends as Mary. Her Christmas present was selflessness, the complete surrender of ego and will needed to bring heaven down to earth. The gifts of her fiancé Joseph were trust and faith. He trusted that Mary wasn't pregnant with another man's child. He believed there really was a divine plan to get them through the mess. The child brought forgiveness, wholeness, second chances, third chances, as many chances as you need. The angels' gifts were tidings of comfort and joy and peace, and reassurance that there was nothing to fear, so rejoice. The shepherd's boy gift was generosity, his favorite lamb for the baby's birthday present. The innkeeper's wife's gifts were compassion and charity, a warm, dry, safe place for the homeless family to stay. Her best cover to wrap the baby and mother, her best to wrap the new mother and little one, a meal for Joseph, and the donkey's fresh hay. Then this is about the kings. 3 kings from the east traveled many hot, dusty miles, following a bright star in search of a royal birth. The sages' divination foretold the coming of the, quote, King of Kings. On their camels' backs were treasures with which to honor his arrival. But when they arrived in Bethlehem, they found the newborn prince in a cow stall instead of a palace. The shocked wise men unwrapped gold, frankincense, and myrrh. I forgot the gold. That's what I forgot. But their real gifts were wonder, acceptance, and courage. They offered wonder by surrendering logic, reason, and common sense. Accepting the impossible, they suspended skepticism long enough to double-cross the insane King Herod, frantically searching for the child who would change the world. With courage, at the risk of their own lives, the wise men helped the young family escape to a safe haven in Egypt. Christmas is all about gifts, Sarah says. Nothing but gifts, but such gifts. Gifts tied with heartstrings. Gifts that surprise and delight. Gifts that transform the mundane into the miraculous. Gifts that nurture the soul of both the giver and the receiver. Perfect gifts. Authentic gifts. The gifts of spirit. A frightened teenage girl, her bewildered sweetheart, the child, the angels, the shepherd boy, the innkeepers, and the gifts of the Magi. To give such gifts, to truly open our hearts to receive such gifts gracefully. Christmas won't just be Christmas without any presents. You know, I didn't read the very beginning part, but that Christmas won't be Christmas without... Yeah, that's because I didn't read the beginning part, because that's from Little Women. I remember that. Where, there was a quote at the beginning. Joe March said, "Christmas won't be Christmas without any presents." That's why Sarah said that at the very end. What do you think about the gifts of the Magi, or the gifts of Christmas? Do you still exchange gifts with people? What do you think about the fact that I like that whole big long list of not necessarily tangible gifts, but the gift of spirit and forgiveness and joy and not being in fear and all those things? You know, at the end of the year, it's kind of the time to reflect and look back at the last year. And I wonder if you could sit down with your journal or just some thoughts and think about the gifts that you've received this year. Maybe it's the gift of perspective. I hope it's the gift of being more authentic from this experience. Yeah, you guys have all been... You've all been a gift to me. So I really like that one. That was today's entry. And how about, let's spin it a little bit to the American culture. For this one is called A Partridge in a Pear Tree. It's tomorrow's entry, but I'll wrap up today with this. You know about the partridge in the pear tree. Tonight, earlier, I was just playing trivia online with some friends on Zoom, and we had a question of how many birds were in the song The 12 Days of Christmas. Now, fortunately, we didn't have to actually do the math to, count up the exact number, but it was just how many types of birds. And just so you know, if you ever have that question, it's 6. And then the other 6 things are the non-bird things. There's a lot of birds, though. Sarah says, "I don't think many of our true loves are waiting with bated breath for a partridge in a pear tree this year. But I do know a one-size-fits-all gift that would be absolutely thrilling for anyone on your list. The gift of yourself. Unfortunately, this most personal gift is very expensive, for it requires large expenditures of our precious but dwindling natural resources, time, creative energy, emotion. It would be far easier to give everyone 2 turtle doves and be done with it. This doesn't mean that we don't want to give of ourselves during the holidays. That's what we're desperately trying to do. Obviously, we're not doing it very well, which is why many of us end up feeling depressed and discouraged as we pack away the ornaments. How did Christmas slip out of our grasp again? Because we were holding too many things at once. Obligations, promises, shoulds, conflicting commitments. Oh, sure, no problem. That's the first symptom of this discombobulated mind, she says. First thing, excuse yourself from every evening meeting for the rest of this month. Do you think you could do that? Only accept social invites that you really want to attend. Your absence might be noticed any other time of the year, but not during the holidays. Everybody's focus is as scattered as yours. You won't be missed. Now about the gifts. All those bright, pretty baubles blowing your budget are only syllables of the gifts you really long to give. So this year, why don't you try to give them the right stuff? What do you think the right stuff is? Sarah says, on the 5th day of Christmas, I gave my true love the gift of my undivided attention. On the 2nd day of Christmas, I gave my true love the gift of enthusiasm. On the 3rd day of Christmas, I gave my true love the gift of creative energy. And I should say, it says true loves, so she means everyone she loves. On the 4th day of Christmas, I gave my true loves the gift of simple seasonal pleasures. We've been doing a lot of those this year. On the 5th day of Christmas, I gave my true love the gift of tenderness. On the 6th day of Christmas, I gave my true loves the gift of good cheer. On the 7th day of Christmas, I gave my true loves the gift of beauty. That's one of Sarah's principles, right? On the 8th day of Christmas, I gave to my true loves the gift of communication. On the 9th day of Christmas, I gave my true loves the gift of surprise. On the 10th day of Christmas, I gave my true loves the gift of wonder. On the 11th day of Christmas, I gave my true loves the gift of peaceful surroundings. And on the 12th day of Christmas, I gave my true loves the gift of joy. She's got a quote here from Meister Eckhart, a German mystic. Be ready at all times for the gifts of God and always for new ones. Be ready at all times to give those you love the simply abundant gifts of spirit. If you do, they'll give you Christmas gifts you'll never forget, happy smiles and contented hearts, and you won't want to exchange them. I like that one. Wonder if you could sit down and make a list of the 12 things that you could give at Christmas that wouldn't necessarily be things, but they would be things like that, where it would be the gift of time, the gift of creative energy, the gift of wonder, the gift of surprise. That's a really neat idea. So I hope this has made you think about Christmas. It's made you think about gifts and reframing memories, reframing experiences, reframing your idea of what gifts are and gift giving and how you can give of yourself. I think the calendar for December for that, what was it called? I forget the name of the organization that puts out the calendars, where I went over that in last month. It's like Project for Happiness or something like that. Go back and look at that video. But I think the December one is all about, it's like a giving month. So we don't necessarily have to give money. We can give of our time, and we can give experiences to people through our presence as well. Your presence is a present. Happy holidays to you guys. I'll see you on the next video. We have a lot more to discuss. Thank you for being here, and I hope you'll leave me a comment because I do love hearing from you. Have a great night. Bye-bye.